You're listening to the Zipline Logistics Truck Yeah podcast, where we explore all kinds of hot topics in the logistics industry. Get ready to learn, laugh, and get your freight on. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of the Zipline Logistics podcast. My name is Jesse Jewett. Joined with me, as always, our Director of Training and Development, Teddy Lee Knox. Teddy, how are we doing today?
Very well, thank you. How are you?
Wonderful, wonderful. Headed into the spring. The sun is shining here in Columbus, Ohio.
Finally.
And we have a special guest today, one of our founders, our president, Andrew Lynch. Andrew, welcome.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here.
It's very exciting. We always are pumped, jazzed, enthused, energized when we have guests. But knowing someone that I've worked with almost now 10 years, it'll be 11 years.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Teddy's celebrating almost 12 years. So I believe I did some calculations. I was employee number 20. My class was 20 through 22. I was a fresh-faced 30-year-old man with a couple of recent college graduates. Obviously, you were one of employees 1 through 3.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild to see the evolution of Zipline in general.
Yeah. I mean, it's been a wild almost 16 years now. I think that the simplest philosophy we had was to start by just hiring great people and figure out where they belong as we go. And that's not original at all, but it really worked well for us, as obviously you two exhibit.
Still here.
I was just talking about you in another meeting. I called out 12 years on the spot, by the way.
Nice.
I nailed it.
I have a great question, but I'm going to start with what I'm most impressed with. You mentioned like finding the right way or right spot for people after you hire them.
Yeah.
The question is, what are you most proud of at Zipline? But before we start, I want to emphasize that the growth, even though it has been exponential, I think the calculated growth and like the slow and steady versus like, hey, let's get 150 people in here and go. That's something that I've really, really appreciated as you mentioned, learning where I fit in the organization.
Sure. Yeah.
Has been really cool. But what are you most proud of?
I mean, it's actually kind of related to that. I think I used to always say that it was the culture and kind of the vibe here because it's so unique and people really care about each other, and that is awesome. And I do still love that. But what I think I am actually a little bit more proud of is that the discipline that we showed on growth was really a part of a disciplined strategy on who we would serve and what we would build ourselves to exhibit from a values perspective. Not like integrity and accountability, of course, does matter, but like, service, visibility, expertise, education. And so as we've gotten to like a very healthy scale and we continue to scale, and now we start to kind of look at the next phase of our evolution as a business through, M&A and private equity backed scaling. What's remarkable is that when things come through the door that don't fit the value set, they don't work. And while that can be frustrating in a challenging revenue year, it's still probably the thing I'm most proud of because we built what we were we're building what we set out to build from the get-go.
Yep. That makes a ton of sense. Certainly as a CPG focused company, when you get, no offense to any recyclers or trash movers out there, we get it. It's just not in our wheelhouse.
And on top of that, I mean, no offense to the generalist brokers or like the folks that focus on bottom dollar. Yeah. Like that is a value set and people need to exist to serve it. We just exist to serve a specific one. And the thing I'm most proud of is how the discipline to that has led to something that, really kind of self-perpetuates.
Yeah, it's a really good call. All right, so we just finished up quarter 1 of 2023. We're expanding into 2, 3, and 4. Let's talk about what you are most excited about for 2023. Hint, it's a topic of this podcast.
Yeah. So I'm most excited about consolidation, and that isn't because it's necessarily new to us. It's just We've digitized a process that we've been really perfecting for 15 years, and put it in a place where, similar to the rest of our approach to technology, we're not trying to replace people. We're not trying to remove the critical thinker or the relationship builder. What we're trying to do is optimize that person's performance, take all of the low-level RAM clogging tasks off their plate, and hand them something that they can just use their retail expertise and their customer expertise to create something of like absolutely outsized value.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great. That's great. So let's just get into the nitty gritty.
Yeah.
Feet first, consolidation, quick definition from you.
So most people's definition of consolidation would be taking, multiple orders and converting them into one single order to ship on one mode of transportation. Mm-hmm. For some shippers, that might just be taking a bunch of case level orders and consolidating them into multiple pallets and shipping those multiple pallets to one, retail location or receiver location. For others, it might mean sending all of their product into a third-party warehouse that then packages that product up with a bunch of other suppliers destined for the same, delivery channel. For us, it means, I actually just thought of this in the last meeting I was in, we don't do multi-vendor consolidation, we do multi-retailer consolidation. Mm-hmm. So we will take all of your product, brand A, and consolidate across your entire retail network to turn those little LTL orders that cost you so much money and get you so little service, and turn back around and give you truckload costs on a per unit basis, truckload control, and a significantly higher on-time performance.
One of the things I love about the way that we consolidate things is true to form with everything else we have. It's for specific customers. It's never just like, this is your consolidation model. It's, hey, here's an idea. What would you like it to be?
Yeah.
To your point, it's not multi-vendor. And I think that makes it so much easier.
Yeah, I mean, it's on topic but off as per usual with me. But there's been this decade of people coming to market with tools as if those tools are holistic solutions. Mm-hmm. And the way that we consolidate, there are businesses out there that launched with the idea that like this is the future of freight, and it certainly is part of it. But in our opinion, and you'll find this when we talk about our DFM, product or whatever other technology products we choose to bring to the podcast, the real answer is that the future of freight performance is specialization and deploying each and every tool in the tool belt in a way that serves that specialized demographic. And to your point, right? Not all product varieties are the same. The way that we consolidate for snack food is a lot different than the way that we consolidate for consumer electronics, and always will be, right?
Yeah.
I think that, yeah. Man, there's so many rabbit holes here. But with big picture, the importance of consolidation, you touched on it a little bit of taking that LTL into truckload service. Where else do you find the importance?
When we first created this process, it was really to serve some of our like mid-sized snack food brands that just like they can't ship LTL. It's terrible, right? It's class 250 or it's class 125 and it gets damaged all the time. And then you add to that the fact that it's never on time to these retailers. But as we've evolved the process and deployed it for more and more shippers, we do find that different types of products have really different definitions of success. And for instance, I yesterday presented to a consumer electronics company that serves Sam's Club, and they serve lots of retailers, but they're struggling with Sam's Club. And at the end of the day, their LTL rates are insanely low. This is a global multi-billion-dollar CPG, but the service is not getting them where they need to be. They're at a very, very, very low on-time and full percentage, and all we had to do was solve that part of the problem, and it borderline didn't matter how much different the rates were, right? I mean, So at the end of the day, when we showed them something that almost doubled their costs, but by virtue of the fact that it would deliver a 97 and 98% on time in full, it actually expanded their gross margin, right? So that's one way. Obviously, the snack food example is a no-brainer. It's crazy to ship 5 pallets of potato chips
Yeah.
across the country, and also to try to do that while hitting a drop dead due date, that only receives at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Multiple touches.
Yeah.
In and out of a trailer.
Yeah, nightmare stuff,
6
right?
times. Yeah.
And so we'll find that when it comes to shoes, or when it comes to apparel, when it comes to bev, there are different ways for us to deploy it, and there's different value sets that people are looking for. For some folks, it's cost, and our teams understand that, hey, this snack food company's priority is cost. I'm going to escalate to them anytime a consolidation looks like it's not going to be cost beneficial, and we're going to make a decision on how to operate. But for an electronics company, it might be the exact opposite. We might say, hey, we're not paying any attention to the cost difference here unless it's above a certain threshold, and then we'll escalate.
Thinking about that, and this is one of many tangents, so apologies, but I think the market is certainly in consideration of that too, right? Like right now we see a downturn, and carriers' capacity is not full. That might be a little bit of a stretch, but there's available capacity out there, and people are looking for freight. Truckers are looking for freight right now. And so maybe 2 years ago, in the height of COVID, a 3-drop delivery in Georgia and Florida, and then southern Florida, may have not been desirable because they want to churn and burn. But now it is, right? And I think that's another key element to consider, in which I think we do a really, really good job here of like, hey, this is the LTL price now, whereas before it wouldn't have made a lot of sense.
Yeah, and look, I mean, again, it comes down to operating values in those environments, right? Like, so sure, yeah, there were times when the consolidated shipments, were so unattractive because of how much one-to-one freight there was out there that, maybe it was a 15 or a 20% markup to run it as a multi-stop. But at the same time, the dynamics between retailers and LTL carriers was so bad then, right? I mean, if you recall, like places like Kroger were booking out like 14 days in advance. You're getting your orders with 15-day notice, and by the time you even tender it, you're out of luck.
Right.
And so, being able to, from the way that we operate, being able to dive in on day 15, go in and schedule all of our appointments for their appropriate due date, and then work, kind of backwards from there, and the exception manage from there, really, it still showed an outsized value for those clients.
Yeah.
And, we talked about a lot then that, the folks that dominated post-COVID quarantine were the people that were on the shelf. I mean, and we have clients that are falling down on the other side of that right now, right? That like their numbers were inflated because they were on the shelf,
right, and
so they had high churn. Like, I mean, it speaks to how well we performed during that time. It's not like necessarily a great success case, but it is the reality that getting on the shelf even then was maximum priority.
Yeah.
So you touched on it a little bit, and this is going to be kind of a two prongs. Let's get into the nitty gritty of how Zipline works on the back end. How do our operators consolidate? And if that's tied into a client success story that you may have, I assume those would go hand in hand.
Yeah, for sure. So the typical flow is ideally EDI, but again, the guys in the container are geniuses, and we can turn pretty much any version of an order into an EDI transaction on our end. So orders flow into a central tool that our consolidators are able to operate in. The first thing that happens is those orders are consolidated from individual POs into shipments, right? So whether it's 10 POs shipping as 4 pallets, or it's 100 POs shipping as 30 pallets, it does that work for them right away.
Yep.
And then it immediately goes into our pricing algorithm and puts together truckload pricing for everything from, let's say, 30 pallets down to 12, right? Wherever you run into the linear foot rule for LTL.
Yeah.
Then it goes into the published LTL rates that we have for that customer. That might be blanket rates that are just based on the right carrier for each location. And by that, I mean, the published, whoever UNFI says is their preferred carrier, like that's not necessarily the best carrier that delivers at Moreno Valley or Redlands, right? So the right carrier, right location, goes and gets that pricing, and then, sort of organizes everything by due date and then allows consolidation based on the parameters of that customer's shipments, right? So if it's, boxes of, cases of pretzels that are stackable, it's 60 pallets and 45,000 pounds, right?
Yep.
If it's beverages, it might be 22 pallets, right? Jams and jellies, 20, whatever. And so what our folks then get to do is essentially start identifying based on each one of these orders anywhere where we have capacity. And we have clients where they have 25 pallets going to a Walmart across the country, and we spot a 3-pallet order somewhere along the way that would be cheaper as a stop off than it would be as an LTL. Again, especially when you include damage and OTIF fines and everything else that can go along with those service issues that can come along with LTL. And essentially they build these routes with all of the information they need right in front of them and really optimize for them. And then of course, they have to use the training that Teddy provides them, right? To understand that, hey, this is UNFI, it's 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. And if you're an hour late, it's $50. But they rely on that training, and it goes back to, not replacing people, empowering people, and letting people be critical thinkers instead of button pushers. And so it's this really, when someone really lets us get in, everything is optimized every single week, right? It's not just a set it and forget it. It's a touch every week, a couple times a week, to say, we went and got the best LTL pricing for you from a performance standpoint and a cost standpoint. Then we went and got optimized truckload pricing for you and designed your network the way that it should be designed, with the right due dates at the right locations, and the right order cadences and minimum order quantities. And then we used our critical thinking skills and our experience with these retailers to create these multi-stop routes that drive your costs even down. And we have had clients where, hundreds of orders each week turn into, 85 or 90 truckloads that turn into hundreds of thousands of dollars of savings every month, and still hitting 95, 98% on time in full across their entire retail network, right? Every single retailer in the country.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've seen the tool that our IT group has designed. I like to think of it as like shipment Tetris.
Beautiful.
Like it's a this may fit here, or the long one can go in here, but ideally it goes, you flip it and it goes a different way, right?
We should talk to Dustin about that. Let's make a Tetris-sized version of it.
Yeah, that would be cool.
And then we can make a movie about stealing it from Russia.
Correct. Yeah. It's all coming together. Hey, here's a sales question. How easy is it to start consolidating with Zipline?
Well, easy to hire, easy to fire is my favorite thing to say, and everyone else's least favorite thing that I say on sales calls. But we don't have contracts by and large with any shippers. We don't need contracts to sign up. And quite honestly, consolidation is part of the DNA of our operations team. They're going to try to consolidate your freight whether you like it or not, and they're going to run things by you. So vary.
Yeah, no order is too big, no order is too small, quite frankly, or mix of orders.
Yeah.
We do it with two shipments or 2 POs.
Absolutely.
We do it with 20.
And look, the more that people control, the greater their opportunity set is, right? So so many brands and suppliers to retailers let the retailer control the transportation, and there's only one grocery retailer, at least, that I can think of that you should let control your transportation. But and they do it because the orders are small. It's only a few pallets. I don't want to deal with the LTL, or God, it's a hassle and things go wrong. Look, those folks are not picking up when they're supposed to pick up, and as a result, you're coming up with empty shelf space.
Yeah.
And this program allows you to capture unit economics that you will not be able to find letting them pick up your freight or shipping product through LTL. And again, performance that will enable you to be a category leader, which is what a great number of our brands can tout today.
That's awesome. Take control of your freight today with a CPG expert. Anything else we missed on consolidation? I think you
can't imagine.
Yeah. All right. So here's the deal. If you want to get a demo of the tool, if you want to talk to one of our sales professionals, You call 888-GO-ZIPLINE or visit us at www.ziplinelogistics.com/contact us. Woo! Thanks for joining us on another edition of the Zipline Logistics podcast. See you next time.